it comes to Caitlyn, I've been playing a lot of her recently just because I've wanted to play Team Cupcake, and I think she's a pretty interesting character that either a lot of people don't understand or a lot of people just don't like, because I think she's a perfectly fine character that's nowhere near top tier like a Yasuo or an Echo, but at the same time she's just pretty solid all around. Like, she's just a well-designed character. Her biggest pro and cons, I suppose, are like that she's just very well defined, where she's a zoner. That should go without saying. She's got some of the best projectiles in the game with her double tap, and you can sort of roll forward and backwards and do it, and it's especially good off of tag because you can get mix-ups off of handshake projectiles, keeping them on screen, stuff like that, especially with freestyle. It's just all around what makes her a very compelling and strong character. Her normals aren't too bad. She has a 6 frame, which is the fastest normal in the game, and a 7 frame low. Her mediums are not great. Her standing medium, it is 7 frames, which means it's on the faster side, but it has abysmal range, so it's just something to take note of. I usually prefer just going for her 2M if I'm poking in this range. And it's sort of just a part of her kit that you want to enable your offense, and you're poking with gunshots and bolas, which is another great projectile, because in case you don't know, with this her 2 sorry, not her 2 S2, just her standing S2, yeah, it leads to a full combo if it hits and everything, and you get a little capture state here. So you can do all kinds of stuff off of that, and her combos are also pretty simple. She has some hard stuff like those gunshot loops you can do in the corner if you're really into that. But in general, the simplest way to combo is just doing like RS1, RS2, and then you can get like a ground bounce, and then do it again, and then limit strike easily, and then put down a cupcake trap for a meaty. Like, it's not too complicated with this character, and I think that's by design, because she's not a Yasuo or a Vi who's going to be hitting you with the 50 hit combos and stuff like that. And I think that's a fine part of her kit. It's a character with good defined strengths and weaknesses, because like she does have her weaknesses where she's pretty committal. Like, the thing about gunshot is it's a really good projectile because you can aim it around, you can charge it up, and like if you get a good charge, you can get a combo off of it, like basically for free. And even if like you don't charge it, like you're just jockeying for space and neutral, you can super and do a headshot for some free damage and stuff. And like you also have the Hex shield, which is another one of her supers that's really good because it can like delay time for assist and like allow you to get pressure. And it's just a lot of her stuff is just standard pretty good, but there's ways to counter it, and if your opponent just knows the way to counter it, it's really hard. I think Caitlyn is one of the best knowledge check characters in the game, because if you don't know how to deal with gunshots and stuff, you're not gonna have a good time. But if you can figure out how to weave around the bullets, because she can only aim at one part of the screen, and if she guesses wrong and you jump over it, or you manage to get around it, she's gonna have a pretty hard time. As a zoner, she doesn't really have any good defensive mechanics. Her best thing is having the 6 frame jab, so that she can if you're doing fake pressure, she can just beat the crap out of you for doing that. But at the same time, there's a lot more that she is missing out on. I think her air game is pretty good, actually, because she's got this air dash, and you can go into 2H for like cross-up shenanigans and stuff like that. It's just pretty good all around. And like if you really want to get some mix too, she has this roll through, which it's not as good as like Vi, but it can do the job well. And overall, I think her defining character trait and like her personality and design is really as enabler character. She's one of the best enabler characters, not only because she has really good assists, but also, as I showed earlier, with like handshaking off of gunshots and stuff, it can let you do a lot of really good stuff. And like with Vi, you can just always go for one of her best moves, which is standing S1, just full screen fuck off button, and normally you don't really get anything off of this if you don't, spend the bar for a super, but as you saw, you can combo off of it, and also you can make yourself safe, so if it lands, you can get a lot off of it. You know, I think she's just a really well-rounded character that if you're looking to pick up, you can do a lot with this character. Just understand, you know, her weaknesses when you get in there, and really don't try to play her on Juggernaut or Sidekick. You know, they're already bad fuses, but they're especially bad because Caitlyn thrives with enabling another character and allowing you to get a lot of pressure and just, you know, handshaking off of that. Active tag is the, you know, it's the defining feature of this game, and I think she uses it well. She's not the best character in the game, but like keeping her at the bottom of the tier list, that's not indicative of her being unplayable. That's just indicative of her actually having a niche, because it's, you know, it's hard to think that a character like Caitlyn and a character like Echo were designed by the same dev team, because Echo's a character with she just does whatever the fuck he wants. Caitlyn, if you figure her out, you can actually punish her for it. And, you know, that's kind of what I like about her. It feels like she's a pretty well-defined and well-reasoned character, which I can't say about every character in this game. But yeah, you know, look to zone from range here. You know, work on your aim. She's a Valorant player's wet dream in a fighting game, and really don't try to like commit too hard with Caitlyn, like rushing in or like looking for mix, because like sure you can have like side swaps and some shenanigans if you have to, but you're much better off using her options to enable somebody else, and then, you know, having her be in the backstage area. She's not the star of the show, which, you know, maybe that's upsetting for people who want to play her that way, and I mean, I'm sure you can if you really get into the weeds of this character, but especially as a beginner, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do that. So I recommend, you know, work on your aim, work on your super timing, you know, get some very simple combos down, and then from there, just, you know, you're kind of off to the races, you know.